The gluten-free diet is extremely popular. Now, people follow it for many different reasons, of course, but the main one is for digestive health. The thing is though, gluten-free junk food is still junk food. So in this video, we're going to look at how to follow a healthy gluten-free diet. Gluten is a family of proteins found in wheat, rye, barley, and spelt. Its name comes from the Latin word for glue, as it gives flour a sticky consistency when mixed with water. This property creates a sticky network that gives bread the ability to rise when baked. It also gives bread a chewy and satisfying texture. Now, unfortunately, many people feel uncomfortable after eating foods that contain gluten. The most severe reaction to gluten is called celiac disease. Celiac disease is an autoimmune disorder that affects about 1% of the population, and it can damage the small intestine if gluten is consumed. If eating gluten makes you feel uncomfortable, you should see a doctor to be tested. Now just note that you should be tested before you start a gluten-free diet, otherwise it becomes really difficult to detect celiac disease. Celiac disease aside, there's also a condition called non-celiac gluten sensitivity or gluten intolerance that some sources claim affects up to 13% of people. Basically, it's people who did not test positive for celiac disease but are certain that gluten-containing foods upsets their digestive system. However, non-celiac gluten sensitivity is highly controversial, and some experts believe it exists while others believe it's not the gluten but rather fructans, which are a FODMAP, that are causing these issues in those who self-diagnose with non-celiac gluten sensitivity. This landmark study in 59 people found that digestive symptoms, especially bloating, were 15% worse after eating the fructan muesli bar compared to a placebo. Interestingly, the gluten bar had no effect on symptoms, which suggests gluten is not the culprit after all, it's the fructans. In any case, the removal of gluten from products typically removes the majority of fructans as well. So when people buy gluten-free, they've also been inadvertently buying low fructan alternatives. For this reason, minimizing your gluten intake can be particularly beneficial if you have fructan intolerance or gluten intolerance or whatever you want to call it. Foods to eat on a gluten-free diet. There are plenty of gluten-free options that will allow you to enjoy healthy and delicious meals. Here's a list of gluten-free foods. So all meat and fish, except battered or coated meats, they're naturally gluten-free. Eggs as well. Plain dairy products, such as plain milk, plain yogurt, and cheese. Flavored dairy products may contain gluten. All fruits and vegetables are naturally gluten-free. There's naturally gluten-free grains as well, like quinoa, rice, buckwheat, tapioca, corn, everything listed there. The same with starches and flours, potato flour, corn flour, chickpea flour, soy flour, etc. All nuts and seeds are gluten-free. Same with vegetable oils and butter and herbs and spices. And most beverages as well, except for beer. Now, if you're ever unsure if a food item contains gluten, it's best to read the food label on the back. Foods to avoid on a gluten-free diet. Gluten is found in many common ingredients that are added to food. For this reason, people can find a gluten-free diet challenging if they don't know what to look for on the labels. Below are the main sources of gluten in the diet, as you've got wheat-based foods like wheat bran, wheat flour, spelt, durum, etc. Then there's like barley, rye, and brewer's yeast, and a couple of other ones. Below are some foods that may have ingredients containing gluten added to them. So all wheat-based bread, wheat-based pasta, cereal as well, unless labeled gluten-free. Then baked goods that are typically made with wheat, like cakes, cookies, muffins, pizza, breadcrumbs, pastries. Snack foods as well, candy, muesli bars, crackers, just pre-packaged convenience foods really. And the sauces like soy sauce, teriyaki sauce, some marinades and dressings, and in beverages it's typically beer or flavored alcoholic beverages. So as you can see, the easiest way to avoid gluten is to eat whole, unprocessed foods. If you are eating packaged foods, then you have to be able to read the ingredients label to see whether they have gluten-containing ingredients added. Helpful tips to follow a gluten-free diet. So following a gluten-free diet is not necessarily easy, but there are several things you can do to make it easier for yourself. So practice reading food labels so you can easily identify gluten-free foods. If your friends know that you're on a gluten-free diet, they're more likely to choose places with gluten-free options when you eat. Now, if you're traveling abroad, make sure you research places to eat and shop near your accommodation. Otherwise, plan your diet around plenty of whole, single-ingredient foods like lean meats, vegetables, and fruit. If you share a kitchen with friends or family members, make sure you use separate cooking and cleaning equipment. You don't want to accidentally contaminate your food with gluten from other people's food. And if you're visiting family, take gluten-free options like gluten-free bread and pasta with you. This way you don't have to feel left out from meals. If you don't have celiac disease or non-celiac gluten sensitivity, or perhaps it's actually should be called fructose intolerance, then you don't need to follow a gluten-free diet. If you do, then make sure you eat plenty of whole, single ingredient foods like fruits and vegetables, lean proteins, things that are going to keep your stomach happy and promote optimal health. Oh, and remember, gluten-free junk food is still junk food. Thanks for watching. Make sure to give this video a thumbs up if you found it informative. Don't forget to subscribe to Healthline's Authority Nutrition YouTube channel by clicking the red subscribe button below this video.